Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another block for you. This one is called the Owl Block, and I've made this with brown fabrics and a low volume background print. It's made with flying geese units and 4-patch units and then some rectangles. So that's all there is to this one, and it makes a nice star in the center. It's a 12.5-inch unfinished block, so it's 12 inches finished, and it goes together really quickly. So I hope you'll stay with me, and I'll show you how to make the owl block. Here are the fabrics you're going to need to make the owl block. For A, you're going to need 9 2.5-inch squares. For B, you'll need 4 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles. C is 8 2.5-inch squares. D is 2 1.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles. E is 2 1.5 by 2.5-inch rectangles. F is 4 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles. And G is 8 2.5-inch squares. And you'll need to draw diagonal lines on the wrong side of your C squares. So I'm going to adjust the camera and we'll get started sewing. Okay, we're going to start out by making 4-patch units with the A squares and the G squares. So we're going to just pair those up, sew them 2 together, and then once we get all of those sewn together, then we will press the seams towards the A square and sew the units together to make the 4-patch. And I'm just going to chain piece all of these together. Okay, you will have one A patch left over, and this is for the center unit. So I'm going to put the marker back on that and set that aside. And sew my last 2 pieces together. Okay, I'm going to clip them apart and I'm going to press towards the dark fabric, and then I'll sew them together to make the 4 patches. Okay, so I have all my 2 patches, and now what to do is just to flip one over so we have opposite colors meeting, and then sew these together. Okay, now I have 4 4-patch units, and I'm going to press, and then we can move on to the next step. So here's the 4-patch unit. So I'm going to press these, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, there's all my 4-patch units. So okay, let's make some flying geese units. So we're going to need the F rectangles and the C squares. So my F rectangles are background. This is a low volume background that I'm using. And here are my C squares. And I've drawn diagonal lines on the wrong sides. So I'm going to start on the right hand side of the rectangle, and the drawn line on my square is going from the top center to the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to sew on that drawn line. And I'm going to do that with all 4 rectangles. I'm going to clip them apart, and I'm going to trim this outer triangle off and leave a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just like that. You can use your rotary cutter, of course. And I'll press this triangle back, and this is what we'll have. So I'm going to do that with all 4 pieces here. So trim and press, and then sew the square onto the left side. Okay, so we have this is what they look like. And so now I'm going to sew the square on this side, and that drawn line on the square is going from the top center to the bottom right hand corner. Just clip these apart and trim and press, and then we'll have these flying geese units done. So let's trim this outer triangle. Okay, so this completes the flying geese. So I'm going to press these, and then we'll move to the next part of the step. Okay, so now I need to add the bee rectangles to the flying geese units, and they're going to go together this way. So we're going to match the colors together with the bee rectangle. So we'll have, these will be the center, or the side units. Okay, I'm going to press and show you what these look like. Okay, that's what these look like. Only they're going to kind of go this way. But those are those units. So these are the center side units. Okay, now we need to make the center unit. So we need the remaining A square and the E squares. I'm going to start with those, or the E rectangles. And we're going to sew those to 2 sides. So if you have a directional piece, then you'll want to take that into consideration as if your A piece is a directional pattern, then you'll want to take that into consideration. Mine is, but it's not real noticeable. It's got these little flower baskets, and they all go in the same direction. So I'm going to go ahead and take that into consideration. But in other parts of the blocks here, I didn't even worry about that. So, you know, it's up to you. You don't always have to follow the direction of your fabric prints if you don't want to. Okay, so this goes on 2 opposite sides. And just flip it around and sew one to the other side. Okay, so this is what we have. I'm going to press these seams. Okay, so here we have that. Now I need the D rectangles. Okay, so my D rectangles are 4.5 by 1.5. Those go on the top and the bottom. And let me get my ends together. Okay, turn it around and sew the other side. Okay, so there we have that. I'm going to press these seams open. Okay, so we have that piece all done. So now we're ready to lay the block out so we can sew it into rows and then sew the rows together. Okay, so we have all our units. I'm going to start with the 4-patch units. These are going in the corners, and I want the background to go towards the center. So let's see, let's start right about there. And then the flying geese units, the flying geese go to the outside. Then another corner unit. And this row starts with the flying geese. And the center unit. Guess that doesn't really matter which way that goes. Whoops, flying geese unit needs to go that way. Another flying geese unit. 4-patch, flying geese, and another 4-patch. So this is called the owl block. I have no idea why, but that's what it is. That's the name of it. And so now I just need to sew my 3 rows and then sew them all together. So I'll adjust the camera and get started sewing. Okay, and I'm going to sew the first 2 units of each row together, and then I will add the 3rd piece. Okay, now I'm going to press and sew the rows together. To just match our seams, I'm going to go ahead and pin. There really isn't a lot of matching to do, but when I have you know, longer sections to sew, then I like to go ahead and pin. And there's a seam here and a seam here. And you can just finger pin these as you go too. Okay, so here is the completed block. So this is the owl block. It's made with 4 patch units, flying geese units, and some rectangles. So this is another quilt block that I used brown fabrics in. So if you're thinking of making a quilt for a man, you know, brown is always a good color to use. It doesn't have to be all completely brown. Just mix in some brown in with your other colors and makes it a little more masculine. So that may work for you. So that might be something you want to consider. But I'm doing this just to kind of use up the brown fabrics in my stash. But this may be a quilt that my husband will like. But he likes all my quilts, so he's not particular about what color they are. So I don't worry about that. But here is the owl block. Okay, that is it for the owl block. So this one was really fast, went together real easy. Just flying geese units and 4 patch units with some rectangles. That's all there is to this one. So I hope you'll give this block a try. Now if you like this video, please click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.